morning, everybody, wherever you are having me be listening. This is the Wednesday wrap-up, and we are back to normal. Man, thanks for filling in for me last week. That was awesome. And you guys were I feel like I don't even need to really be in the show anymore.
No, stop. The amount of messages and mail that we got, like, where's Bo? Bring back Bo. # free Bo. I was like, I feel terrible, man. All I know is way more respect for what you did. I already know how it is hosting, but man, this show without you is like peanut butter without jelly, man. It's the people outside my door protesting, and I don't even know how they found out.
Good stuff. Well, I do appreciate it. You guys killed it, and it was awesome. So I was able to catch little parts of it, so it was cool. So kind of a lot going on around the world of sports. Obviously, big moves in the NFL. We got Major League Baseball playoffs. Somehow the WNBA is no closer to a CBA. Like there's so much going on, and at least the deadline is super close, so that's helpful.
Right.
But we might as well kick this thing off with football, and it's interesting because we were just talking about coaches that were on hot seats, and I had made a graphic, and Callahan happened to be my number one dude, and he gets fired this week, so. It makes
the power of the list.
What's that?
The power of the list.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know about all that because I'm pretty sure that Canales is probably pretty safe at this point. I didn't update this list. I just wanted to bring back the one that I used the other day, and so I didn't update it. So Canales being 3-0 at home with the Panthers, I think probably saves his job. But Callahan getting fired. That makes you think McDaniel could be next.
Yeah. It's not getting any better for the Dolphins. The press conferences are worse. The play on the field. Losing a heartbreaker the way you did, I mean, you don't get pity points. You know what I mean? A loss is still a loss. But losing it that way and having everything come together, scoring last minute, and then still giving up the field goal drive where everyone just forgets to guard certain people, that makes you just think, okay, this one, I'm watching it with Raj, and his quote after the game, all right, you win some, you lose a lot. That's what
I mean, you know that he's going through it.
Dude, he put down his phone. He said, I can't do this anymore. And the emotions, because we were at my parents' house, and we had, I have Sunday Ticket on my account, which, not on my mom's and blah, blah, blah. Well, I actually brought a TV for our broadcast, and I said, hey, I can set you up on my other TV, and you can watch the Dolphins game. He's watching it on the score. If the Chargers score here, I'm not watching. Okay, they just go, all right, go get the TV, set it up. They score the touchdown. Yeah. And then it's life of a Dolphins fan. I watched the whole – I don't see how he survives a year. I mean – especially with the Patriots moving up. And you're basically almost guaranteed third place in the division just because the Jets are horrible. And that's the only reason you're not last.
So, well, and how about the Patriots being 4-2 and technically in the division? That's wild. I didn't have that on my bingo card.
At all.
You still won't see any love for them on my power rankings because I still don't believe in that team. But hey, at the end of the day, they're sitting 4-2, and I mean, you can't argue with good play.
Yeah.
And if it was a top 15, they'd be on it, right? Like if I did the top half of the league, like to be on that. As far as power rankings, and we'll get into those, but they're probably hovering in that like 10, 12, or 11, 12 area. But talking about the coaching that's getting let go. I have to think that McDaniel's probably the next one out of town.
I would agree.
Zach Taylor, he's probably moving himself up this list too.
Oh man. Why? Just because of how they're playing lately? Oh, you're talking about? I'm sorry, moving up the list. Yes. No. I think this is that year. If the Bengals, you just went all in with all the money you spent. And I know you lost one of those keys, but everything else looks like you shouldn't be signing a Browns quarterback as your, go-to option to save your season.
Exactly.
It's done. You finally it took you what, 5 years to get to a year where you could win the first game of the year and the season still falls apart? No, it's done. I appreciate the note because I always forget who that is when they sign in.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm old. It throws me off. Yeah, I don't see how, and I don't see why either that you would keep moving with Zach Taylor. Like it's clearly not working even when everyone's healthy. So yeah, a lot of it I'd send the GM out the door too. But
that's the biggest thing for me. Like, do I think Zach Taylor deserves to get fired? I don't even know. Like, we don't know if he can be good because they're just like, yeah, we're going to give you these 2 really awesome toys and then no batteries. So you get to pretend like you can like drive this RC truck around, but instead you get to look at it because there's no batteries and
no batteries.
So,
and then the season started and one of the wheels fell off and now you're like, oh, now good luck.
Yeah, I mean, before I could at least roll it down the hill and now it just doesn't move forward. Yeah, no, it is kind of wild. Obviously, that was the other part of the news when it comes to the Bengals is they signed Flacco. And that was a curious – I get why they were interested. I'm not sure why they didn't give a phone call for Russ or Winston, a couple of guys that might be able to move behind an atrocious offensive line. But appreciate that. But it's interesting that they went with a statue behind a terrible O-line. I mean, because there's guys you could go get.
Yeah, I love the Winston one. He would be had cheap, because he's still somehow QB3 in a spot where he probably never sees the field. Like you said, that's a guy who doesn't really care who's in front of him. Winston will be exciting. He'll move the ball. And if you ever wanted to have a guy who's like Jamar Chase is down there somewhere, that's Winston. He is not afraid to just sling that bad boy and just see what happens. So
and even in losses, he puts butts in the seats, right? Like people go to watch the chaos.
Yeah. Because they might be like you said. What do we always say on the show? Hey, Winston could go out and throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. 2 of those might be to the other team, but you at least know every pass is pure excitement. I'd rather watch Winston than Flacco any day.
No,
you didn't even have to tell me what team they were on. So I love that pick.
The thing about Flacco is he's going to do the same thing. He's going to throw as many picks as he does touchdowns, and he moves the ball better than the rest of the guys that were in a Browns uniform, but that is setting the bar pretty low. Let's be honest.
Yes.
So it's not like he's like, oh, he's throwing for 500 yards. Like, no, he's throwing for like 250 and he's throwing 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. It's like, okay, cool. Like that's nothing to write home about. So Raj, but it was interesting to me that the Browns wanted to trade to the Bengals. And Tomlin weighed in on this as well. So I have that soundbite. So here we go.
Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us, because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feeling.
And I agree. I mean, one of the things you always talk about when we're talking about trades is you're like, oh, yeah, this would be a good trade partner. It's like, yeah, but they're in the division, so they're never going to do that because you're not going to make a division rival better. And the Browns throw them a lifeline for no apparent reason. When you have a team that routinely beats you, that has a deficiency, the last thing you should do in your own division is be like, oh, here, let me help you out. Like,
Yes. Especially with quarterback. And then the best point Tomlin made in there, the guy you had as your day one starter. Exactly. So it's not like your third quarterback or some scrub. You thought this guy might get you through this. No, nobody believed he was going to get you through the season, but you at least thought he'd get you somewhere and you trade him to somebody. And they haven't even played yet, have they? So you still have 2 games against. Like, I would never help out someone I'm about to play.
It makes no sense at all. Like,
well, actually, it does make perfect sense because it's the Browns. So it's like
Yes. I will give you that. Because of the dysfunction the Browns are, 100% that makes sense. But when you think of it in just like football and wanting to win,
right?
None of that makes sense. You look at that and you're just
Right.
like, what are we doing right now? Like that.
Yes. I don't know. At some point, they're going to bring back Deshaun Watson as their starter and just.
Really I honestly think they do. Based on what we're watching, they might.
Why not?
Which is wild to me. I thought for sure they were just redesigning their contract to get him out of town. But now I'm starting to think, no, they want him for 5 more years. They're somehow going to waste their 2 draft picks.
Yes.
they're
going to
miss it with Gabriel and Shador.
Yeah. I could absolutely see it because it's a very Browns thing to do. And so when that whole front office and GM and everybody gets fired, maybe they just cut ties with everybody and start over. Because otherwise, what are we doing? And trading into the to the Bengals is hilarious. I also want to know what prompted somebody to ask Mike Tomlin about it, or did he just like unsolicited give this answer?
So I didn't get to see the whole press conference. I think they asked him what he thought about the Flacco trade, and which I would have too, right? Because it's coming to his division, and they're without a quarterback. Again, it's bizarre to me that they didn't want a guy like Winston or Wilson.
Right.
2 guys that, maybe they're not as mobile as they once were. But your offensive line is what gets Burrow hurt every other year of his career. I feel like maybe a guy that can kind of run around a little bit, because it's not like Burrow is a statue back there. He can at least kind of move. Somehow you're thinking Flacco. I mean, the only thing they could have done worse is go get Cousins.
Right.
I mean,
if Cousins ends up there too as well, I'm gonna be like, all right, they just gave up totally. They said, we don't even care anymore.
I mean, well, they can't go get Cousins because they can't afford him. But
true. I keep thinking Cousins just sitting out there. I keep forgetting there's also a massive.
He's only making like $50 million this year to do nothing. So, that's not a bad way.
There are worse living. So you know what I mean? I'm like. 50 million, yeah, I can do this. You want me to do what? No, I'm cool over here. Don't worry.
Yeah, you're like, I got a clipboard, so.
Is there anything on the clipboard? Is that a menu? Is that what you're ordering after the game? Yeah, I'm a little hungry. Want some wings?
Panda Express,
Oh man, this has been crazy. Which, by the way, Flacco also started off terrible in the last game too, so it took him a whole half just to even get anything generated. So.
True.
He didn't get anything done.
Yeah, I feel like that's not unique to him, though. That is just across the league. We're watching just kind of terrible quarterback play from guys that you expect to be decent. You're not seeing anything out of Jalen Hurts. You watched Wilson run himself out of a job, so that wasn't really that big of a shock, although you thought he was going to play a little better than he did. You had Lamar playing terrible. I mean, it's just kind of like these guys you're used to seeing in like top caliber conversations. You're just like, oh, you guys just aren't playing football this year. And it's weird.
Yeah, no, I agree. Every week now I'm watching and thinking, what does nobody want to get to the Super Bowl except for maybe the Chiefs at this point who are starting to roll a little bit, but everyone else, even like you said with Lamar, but the Ravens, even with and without him, are showing kind of fight in a complete game. So
I didn't have them as a 1-win team like that.
No,
I had them as a Super Bowl favorite. Right.
Well, I remember when we did our preview, they were still one of the ones. I had them in winning the division easy.
Oh, going away. Yeah. Like there was. Like that wasn't even a question. You're like, who's winning this? Oh, it's Ravens. Yeah, okay, keep it moving. Like
keep it moving. Yep. And I had Pittsburgh as the wild card, not leading the division and still not looking great, but just not looking terrible.
Exactly. Yeah. No, and then of course I didn't have the Bucks being the best team in football at the moment. That okay. Or
yes.
The Patriots leading their division. Nope. Did not have that.
I like that the Patriots were competitive, but I just thought, no way are we getting to 4-2 this early you know?
Yeah.
And knocking off Buffalo, like, no way, you know?
Well, then it makes you look at it as the how dysfunctional is the Titans? They run Vrabel off, right? He gets them to a championship game, his second year there.
Right.
They give him no talent. All of his guys get hurt. They're still fighting and winning. And they're like, yeah, you're the problem. They bounce him out of town. He gets he gets the Tony Stark of pieces, right? And he's like, he built this out of a pile of scraps in a cave. And I mean, that is it, right? Like, you're just like, this. You looked at the roster coming into the year and you're just like, yeah, these guys are going to be terrible.
Right.
And I mean, they're sitting 4-2 leading the division. You're just like, okay, I guess. Like, I don't.
Yeah. But I think a hallmark of his teams, they were always prepared and they always fought hard, you know, no matter what you give him. The Titans teams that were losing when he was there weren't well put together teams. But you could tell, they fought I remember, when they knocked off the Dolphins, was a couple years ago, with like scrap heaps of stuff. And, you know, and the Dolphins are on a playoff march and they're just playing out the string. But no, his teams always come to play. It's not his fault if you haven't given him any talent, but you know, whatever.
Well, and that's where
I thought that was a great pickup for New England.
That's where I feel like Stefanski probably doesn't get fired, like shouldn't get fired, right? You're giving him a revolving door of quarterbacks, and not like each year you get a new one. It's like each year you're playing 4 different dudes. It's like you're not going to win a lot of games that way. I think ultimately he does get fired. He'll get a job immediately.
Yeah. Blessing for him, I think. You know, you especially when you look at, you ran off a potential MVP candidate, right, the last 2 years in Baker Mayfield, who is thriving with, I don't think he has his starting wide receivers or his starting running back, and they're at 5-1 right now. And the guy you traded him for, you know, got rid of him for, has been terrible. You gave him the worst contract in NFL history. And then somehow, I mean, like, we've detailed the Browns stuff. Everybody knows Browns quarterback bad. But to see that continue to happen, like, Baker could maybe make this work. And then kind of like the cherry on top, you keep trying to put together a championship level defense and you're pairing it with nothing. So the defense is like 3 stops in a row. What'd the offense do? Oh, they lost 10 yards on the last 2 drives. And then that's the kind of things the Browns go through right now. So, yeah, I get rid of the whole front office first, to be honest. But if Stefanski gets himself out of there, it'll be a breath of fresh air for him.
Well, that's what I think. Like, I think he probably wants to get out of there at this point. But, I mean, the fact that their front office continues to survive there is wild to me. Because it shouldn't. Yeah. I mean, when you are looking at scenarios where, and I mean, true for the Titans too. Like, I don't know how either one of those teams keep going with the people they have selecting the talent when you look at the way the teams continue to be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And then it's funny with the downfall of the Ravens. This would be a very gettable division, but you've made no progress whatsoever. What up, Chad? I'm sorry, man. Could your high school team beat the Jets, though? That's the question on this.
I mean, I think they probably could. And Chad, I share your terrible high school football experience. My high school was the worst when it came to the records. So. My first year, we won our homecoming game. That's it. The singular game. And it was only because the team that was playing us at the time was a juggernaut of a team. And it was a trap game for them. They overlooked us. We accidentally won. Our high school was so bad. And we changed coaches every year. So it's not like you had a system that you were like going to grow through during your high school campaign. You had a new coach every year. And just for whatever reason, our school just didn't care about being good at football, which was bizarre because it had a very storied past. of being division champs for like in the 50s. They won it almost every year.
Right.
Like they were King co-champs because it's King County, right? King co-champs and state champs like for 15 years, just in the mix every year. And then by the time I got there, it's like, oh, we have a football team? Like, it was like what happened? Like, this used to be a really good school. And yeah, I don't know.
Right. Like, do people just stop caring? You stop putting resources towards it? That's just weird.
Yeah. So my high school was, it was more focused on basketball, which I'm not tall, so that doesn't help out. And like, it was basketball. We had a good soccer team. We had a really good volleyball team, and baseball was decent. But yeah, football was probably our worst sport. Had a good track team. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what it was. They were just like, oh yeah, football, I guess.
They would never let that slide down south. Around here, it's football, and then what are the other sports?
Yeah, I mean, they don't let that slide at other schools here. Just for whatever reason, my school was not about trying to win. 2005, I mean, okay, so it's been a minute. If you add another 20 years, I think that's, or maybe even more, that would be my high school's last football championship. So, but
so my whole school give Justin Fields a call.
I don't know. Maybe as a backup.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when we're getting into that, but it's
right now. And we have that question.
Worse and worse.
That question got brought up, and so here we go.
Yeah, I understand you probably want to watch the film.
Yep.
But Justin's numbers are not good for this game.
No.
Is he going to be your quarterback next week, or would you?
Come on, man. What kind of question is that?
He did not have a good game. I mean, I think it's a fair point.
There's a number of guys that, I mean, sometimes this league is like this, and there are guys that have bad games. That doesn't mean you just bench them. Come on, you know better than that.
So they don't have a viable
question.
It is a fair question, but the problem is they don't have a viable backup. So that's where you're like, it's not really a fair question. You're not benching Fields for nobody, right? Like, you're not getting better that way.
Right.
Now, if you were going to go get a guy, go get Russ. That'd be hilarious. Like,
I mean,
right?
Is it just Tyrod Taylor? That's who the
exactly. Yeah.
It's weird to me too that you would go into the season with Justin Fields as your starter and not get anybody as backup. Like, I mean, draft wise or something, I'd have somebody right. You just couldn't have thought that Fields was the answer. Fields was 4-2 on a playoff team, and they still benched him. Like, there's a lot to be told. Is everything his fault here? No, but your star wide receiver is begging the coach for somebody to throw him the ball. You have -10 net passing yards in a game, which I had to read that 3 times and go read the article because I was like, I don't even know how that's possible.
It's real stat.
I was like, this is wild. And then you lose by less than a field goal. So your defense is giving you everything they've got.
Yep.
But similar to before, I think midway through the season, you're going to see some guys go, you know what? I'll put a little less effort into this next play. Does it even really matter? And that's where the blowouts happen. But you have to get something from your offense, especially considering you've invested in your running back and your wide receiver. Like, and now your wide receiver's hurt too, so that doesn't help. But Fields is just not the answer. And I didn't think anybody thought he was the long-term answer anyway. There should have been some sort of backup plan. But
well, I mean, even before the season started, right? You see that move happen, and one of the first things I said is like, how do you have a quarterback that needs development go to the least quarterback development type of team, right?
yes.
So when people were excited about it, it's like, I don't really know why you're excited. Like, one, he didn't show us anything in Pittsburgh. The 4 wins that he had were largely because the defense scored points. And then you're going to a team that other quarterbacks that got drafted had to leave to get better. you're bringing in a guy that hasn't been able to show growth in anywhere before. I don't know why you think the Jets were going to be the answer there. They have no history of developing quarterbacks. I mean, their last, Namath is their only Super Bowl winning QB, right? So, and
Yes.
let's be fair, that's been a minute.
I'm trying to look up his 45 yards, 283, 226. I mean, these are just bad all over.
Yep.
You know, it's not like it's getting better for you. And I mean, you almost just expect him back there to take off running every other time, you know? So
Honestly, it'd probably be better.
Yeah.
You know, if you just set him up in split backs and it's just a power dive play every time, it's probably more effective than what they're currently doing.
Yep. And you look, I mean, they've had two kind of blowouts, but they've been competitive in 4 of them. So you're thinking, if we're getting like average quarterback play,
well,
this could be easily a 3-3-4-2 record.
He hasn't been the problem in every game. He has had a couple of games where you're like, okay, he was probably the best thing on the team that day. But you're talking about a team that is over, you know? Yep. So just because he was the best thing on the team, really all that means is your team isn't good, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know that there's a way to fix this. If there was a team that had a case for losing every game, they sure are starting to fit the bill there.
Yeah. The question is, if they're 0-16, you go into the last game, and let's say it's against the Bills, who've already locked up the division. Do the Bills still play their starters so they don't have to be your one win for the year, or do they sit everybody?
I mean, I guess it depends on seeding. Like if they have the number 1 seed just locked up somehow,
right?
No, you still sit everybody because that game doesn't matter,
right?
Game of stuff.
But you tell your backups, you cannot lose.
You better win this game. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. And then how demoralizing would that be if their second and third stringers come out and just mop you up?
Right. Your one chance at a win. You've got all your starters in. They've got people they just signed off the practice squad. You're like, what just happened?
And it's like 35-3. You're like, what?
Oh, please, football gods, make this happen.
Now I want that to happen.
Yes. That'd be the best thing to happen for this season. Everyone's getting fired then, though, for sure.
Nah,
like
I mean, so I don't
think they
think
haven't already been at that point.
Yeah, I don't think Glenn gets fired, but I mean, anything's possible, right? We've seen first-year coaches get fired for sure, but I think he's going to get a little bit of latitude, although I do have him on the hot seat a little bit because they're so bad. Right. But at the same time, you didn't really give him a lot to work with either.
Yeah. And you hire a defensive head coach on a team where the offense is continuing the problem. So it's like now your offensive coordinator becomes the most important hire for you.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, and that one's one that kills me because you're looking at a team with Saleh, defensive head coach, right?
Yep.
Defense was great.
Yep.
They fire him. They bring in, they elevate their DC, which, okay, I guess. Like that, again, the offense is the problem. So the defense takes a slide because you've now moved your DC out of his spot. Now you go get another defensive coach, and you're just like, I really don't get the thought process here because the offense is still the problem. But it's the Jets, and they're dysfunctional, so it just kind of is what it is. That being said, that does get us to the halfway point. If you are listening on ICU Radio 97.3 Smooth Jazz, we have some more of that coming your way. Otherwise, stay tuned here, or if you want to switch over, it is at Football Talk on YouTube, and we can get into our power rankings coming up after this ad break right here. So if you are in the Pacific Northwest, you can use the QR code on the screen. Free 5-day pass, any of the 3 locations. Bellevue, Ballard, University Village, Pilates Bootcamp, Yoga Bar, and more. Find your edge. True Fusion Gym. And, of course, if you are into sports betting, you can do it right alongside us here on Football Talk, the Wednesday wrap-up. using the QR code on the screen with Bet Us up to 125% of your first 3 deposits, 10% bet guarantee, in case you actually listen to us. And, so use that QR code on the screen, bet alongside us right here. All right, let's get into.
Listen to me, do the opposite. You'll be great.
Right? Win some money. Yep. Somehow in Pick'em, I have clawed my way back into the second spot. So just slowly chipping away at it.
I'm slowly chipping away too, just in the opposite direction. So I am slowly chipping my way into like 9th place from first for like 1 week. So yes.
This year is so weird. I mean, there's been so many upsets that like every week you go into it. What was it? I think it was 2 weeks ago. I got barbecued. I was just like, oh, like I'm going to be out of this thing. And then I looked at everybody's rankings. I'm like, oh, yes, everybody got smoked.
Yes. 2 weeks ago. Exactly. Yeah. Cause I think I had like 4 wins. Every team that wasn't supposed to win. Cause I remember talking with you before the game. I was like, I try to pick upsets. Like, that's dangerous to do. It's like, all right, let's go straight this week. And it was like, every upset.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because there was a guy that the guy that won the week has only played 2 weeks this year. Like he just can't seem to figure out how to remember to log in and do his picks. And I was like, if you were picking like that, you'd be winning this thing right now.
Yes. That's funny. He's like, I don't play every week, but when I do, I give it my all.
Right? Coming in hot. Well, and of course, on that one, he picked a lot of the underdogs. And you're just like, I mean, okay, whatever. And then they all hit, and you're like, I'm generally kind of good at this. Like, I don't. Yeah. No, it's been funny. That being said, because there has been so many weird losses, we got a lot of movement on our power ranking. And so here we go. We got the Bucks sliding into that top spot. They've been a fast mover over the last few weeks, and rightfully so. They have they're the best team in the league as it sits today, which is still weird to say, because it's Baker and he has every receiver hurt somehow.
Yep.
And
running back.
And running back. I mean, if there was ever a case for an MVP, it had to be his run. So
yes,
he was supposed to be like, he was getting sacked. Like
he was done.
Yeah. You had 3 guys all coming in to hit him at the same time. You're like, oh, I mean, this is a sack. Like, got it. He somehow sheds all of those, scrambles out, has the most awkward looking run, and then dives for the first down. And you're like, I mean, if there was ever a case for a guy being the MVP, it's got to be that, because everybody on his team is hurt. And he literally just shed 3 guys to then dive under another tackler to get the first down. You're just like, I mean, okay.
Of course, it was against the if they're the most banged up. Well, I'm sorry, they're probably the second most banged up because they're playing the most banged up team in San Francisco. Yep. But yes, I mean, you just look at this list: leading receiver in the game, Kevin Bourne. You're like, what? And then Johnson and Shepard are the leaders for Tampa Bay. White is like, I mean, this is. Yeah. But no, to your point, Baker's playing like MVP. They're clearly. I mean, think about this: it only gets better for them as they get people back, and you're 5-1.
Exactly.
Right? And what's the 1 losses to the Eagles, which now I really don't understand the way the Eagles are playing. And it's like, did they get up for that one game? But then even then, they were just barely hanging on to finish it off. But I think it's a well-deserved top spot.
If I remember right, that was the game that the Eagles didn't have a single passing yard in the second half.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, no. Basically. Or the Eagles did win. So yeah. That's what it was. Like in the second half, they didn't have a single passing yard. I mean, crazy. And so, now you're starting to see teams like the Lions, the Bills, the Eagles, they're really starting to fall on my list because, their first losses, you're like, okay, I get it. Everybody has a game here and there. But now you're seeing some bad losses. And you're just, and, the Bills defense looks like anybody can score on them. The Eagles just look like they're out of sorts in general. The
Yep.
Lions, like, I don't like. Sometimes they look like just world beaters. Nobody can touch them, and then other times they just don't look like they came to play.
Yep.
So, and then you got the Seahawks with no defense, right? Like they had 5 DBs not playing that game and somehow worked over the Jags.
Yeah.
It's like,
Which,
I don't know what's
I
going
don't know
on.
if that says more about the Seahawks or the Jags sometimes, but
For sure.
yeah, for the Jags to only come up with 12 in a game where you thought would be higher scoring. I mean, your defense held the Seahawks to 20. That's a winnable game for Jacksonville. But kudos to the Seahawks for sure for coming in and being that banged up and winning it. Every win is a win, and putting them there, I think that's great. And a very winnable division. How long can the 49ers keep this up for them before they get past them, right?
Well, and how do you have 3 of the 4 teams in that division 4-2? So
Who is it? The Cardinals.
yeah, Cardinals are 2-4. Yeah, but I mean, and that's why all 3 of the West teams are in this list, because they just keep going out and winning.
Yeah.
I mean, the Niners have no business winning, and somehow with nobody on their roster, they keep getting dubs. Seahawks.
Now the Rams are losing people too, right? Puka might be might be hurt, right, too. So this is a division where your 3rd string quarterback is going to be throwing to your 5th string wide receiver in the last game of the year to decide the division crown.
And somehow they keep winning. Like that's the part that's mind-boggling, right? It's not so much the injuries, because like, okay, we watch injuries happen across the league all the time, but usually there's a negative effect on your team. And these teams just keep rattling off wins, which is odd. And then the Steelers finally jump into my list. I mean, because you can't not put them in there at this point. I mean, they've played well enough. They don't do anything that you're just like, oh, here we go. But I mean, they keep putting wins together.
Well, I still think, I mean, the only reason why I think they win the division is because Baltimore's fallen off. But they still just feel like one and done playoff team to me. Maybe if they get I guess they'll get the 3rd or 4th seed, because the rest of the AFC doesn't look great anyway. But it just feels like that's their trajectory every single year now. Maybe they win the first game because it's home. Who knows? But I still don't put them above a Buffalo or a Kansas City. Do I have to say put them above a New England? Like, what are my chances of New England actually winning this division?
I mean, I don't think New England makes the
right, but New England is what, 4-2 and a win over the Bills.
And a win over the Bills. No, I get it. I get it.
At Buffalo.
I know.
I'm calling Vrabel now. I'm sending a picture of this. I'm calling Vrabel. I'm sending it to them right after the game. Look what Bo did to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having a hard time believing in them, just because when you look at the roster, you're just like, they're off to a great start. But I only need about 10 more weeks to believe them. Week 17, if they're leading the division, I'll be like, okay, I got it.
Now you're good. Wow. It was an ankle sprain.
Yeah, it's high ankle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he got hurt in the 2nd quarter and went out. Of course, I have him on my fantasy team, so I know more. You pay so much attention. What happened the rest of the game? What do you mean rest of the game? I know he got hurt. Like, did they win or lose? What are you talking about? Like, I stopped paying attention. What do you mean?
I wasn't watching the game anyway. I was stat chasing. Yeah. But yeah, no, unfortunately, he got hurt. I mean, our division is just so banged up.
Yeah.
If you looked at the injury lists and then you said, oh, but these teams are also 4-2, you'd be like, yeah, you're lying. Like,
right. Yeah. So in the same way that we call out some of these other teams for bad coaching, should we not give respect to these teams for whoever they put on the field is managing to still win games?
Sure. Yeah.
I think. Which, by the way, going back to your number one, Todd Bowles seems to get. What's up, man? Good to see you. Final whistle every Tuesday nights, man. Good to see. Todd Bowles seems like he's kind of perpetually like one of those, we think this might be the year we get rid of him, no respect kind of guys. His teams just continuously win. But it's like when they win, I think we just keep pointing to Baker. But when they, if they lose or get bounced out, we're like, oh, is this the year they're finally getting rid of Bowles? For what reason? I don't understand, though. Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to crown them the best either in NFC, but it's like, how do you ignore the results? So,
yeah, that's what's tough with the Colts too, right? Is
Yeah.
you're just like, I see what they're doing, I see how they're winning. Like everything says they're a good team, but then you're just like, but it's the Colts, and you're just
right.
like, so honestly, it's why it took me a little bit of time to move them up the list the way that I have. It's like, yeah,
Sure.
I mean, I get it, but I've seen how your organizations are typically,
Right.
But at this point, you can't not have them there anymore.
Yeah.
At least if you're being objective, right? Like if you were just hating, you're like, they are never going to be in the top spot, which, fair enough. But, unfortunately,
I think you're.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, well, and I was trying to look at who they played because, it's like you move them up there, but it's, off a 4-point win over Arizona playing their backup quarterback. So it's always a little bit hard to believe in them. But they did beat Denver by 1 and that little bit of a comeback win. So I don't know. You can only play the people on your schedule, and they don't get to make. It's not like college; they get to make their own schedule for the most part. So,
well, and then when you think about it, like for the Colts, when they did play a bad team like the Raiders, they destroyed them.
Right.
So they're beating good teams, and then they're really beating bad teams. It's like, okay, well,
Right.
that's a sign of a good team.
That's it.
Right.
Yep.
And because it's not like you're gonna beat down good teams typically, right? You're gonna play them close. It's probably a one score game, whatever. But when you play the bad teams, do you play down to their level? And they haven't. Like they've come in and be like, no, we are who we are. We're just gonna beat you up. And so it's
Let me ask this about the Colts.
Yeah.
If I don't know, Pat Mahomes was on the Colts, would they have moved up sooner? Or how big is the Daniel Jones effect in like, I can't move the Colts up yet?
So Daniel Jones does play a role. I don't know that I would have loved Mahomes in that either. I think the Colts probably would have moved up faster if it was Stafford, right? Because he fits the style of offense that they run. I think Mahomes is off schedule enough that that may not have been a great fit. But like a guy like Stafford,
I was just trying to pick a name, though, just a name, like a better, more highly regarded quarterback.
No, I'm with you.
Stafford definitely fit better, yeah.
And in that scenario, of course. That was like, last year with Darnold going to the Vikings. Right. My power rankings were a little delayed on the Vikings being good because I was just like, it's Darnold. Our sample size is big and not very good. And then he came out and balled out. So, eventually you have to just use the eye test and what it is you're seeing. Not everybody has to suck their entire career. Right. So, I will say this: it's definitely been the best situation that Daniel Jones has been in. So
for sure.
So at some point you just have to believe what you're seeing as opposed to everything that's led up to it. So that's why it may be delayed to get there because history does play a factor. But now you're 6 weeks in, and this is the time of year where what you see is what teams kind of are.
True. Very true.
There's no way you got Mitch to say that. Yeah, and he wasn't close. That's just straight up lies, Chad, because he is such an over the top Eagles fan.
That's funny.
But And yes, giving Russ a call, he could probably still beat a high school team.
I like that to probably. I mean, we're pretty sure.
I don't think he'd go undefeated. I mean, let's calm down. But
poor Russ. Russ over here taking strays. Like, what? We're not even talking about the Giants. No, sorry, buddy.
well, if we were, we wouldn't be talking about Russ anyway. We'd be talking about Scatabo and Dart.
And Dart.
So, I mean, they've been playing good. They look good. So, I mean, they're not going to do anything, but they're exciting to watch. And if you're a Giants fan, you got to be encouraged by that. You know, obviously next year they're probably going to take that step forward. But more than anything, they're just fun to watch because Scatabo is crazy, and Dart is entertaining. So. Even when they're losing, it's at least a fun watch. I think you could have accomplished that with Jameis also. But
I thought Jameis would have been the guy. Yeah.
Well, I was surprised he wasn't. Right? Why do you even have a depth chart if you're not gonna use it?
Right.
So, and then why not get rid of it? Because there's quarterback hungry teams that would at least take a flyer on Winston just to get people in the seats.
Yeah. If you're not going to use them, get some kind of value. But I mean, it's the Giants, so who knows? I mean, you might just see Winston at some point. But no, I absolutely would have. Even for anything, like that's some value there, especially if Dart's going to be your guy the rest of the year and you still have Russ, who was your number one. Just go for it. Don't let him just. I mean, it was I when they signed to and then drafted a quarterback, I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. But if we're not going to do it anyway, so.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a weird quarterback year in general. I mean, that was like, Miami going and drafting and then also getting Zach Wilson. You're like, okay, I mean, that's basically like drafting two also. Obviously, the Browns draft two. The Giants do their weirdness. I don't know. It's just a very strange.
Yeah. Teams did like way too much or nothing. There was like no in between.
Yeah. And then, the Jets, they were, the team picking last in Little League. They're just like, Fields, I guess. Come on. Like
Fields over like, oh. They tried to sound excited about that, but nobody was excited about that. Nobody at all.
Except Fields. Fields is like, I got picked.
We're like, did you though? It is the Jets. So.
Yep. Yeah, it's I don't know, crazy stuff. It's the league has been very, very interesting so far. But playoff baseball is also going on. And speaking of weird, both road teams are 4-0.
Yes.
For
Toronto, by the way.
Did not think that. I didn't think it was going to go that way. I thought Seattle could probably split with Toronto in Toronto, right?
Right.
Just because for whatever reason, the Mariners always play Toronto tough. So they bounced them in the wild card round 2 years ago. But just historically, they play Toronto well. I really thought the Brewers were going to have something for the Dodgers. Obviously, the Dodgers are the best team money can buy, right? They just threw $1 billion at the team and be like, we better win. And, and it worked.
Yeah.
But the Brewers play really good fundamental baseball until now.
And then it all falls apart. Yeah. I mean, it just feels like it honestly, as somebody who's not watching is tight. I was like, the Brewers were your number one seed. I guess in my mind from the outside, kind of what you said, I just expected to be the Dodgers. And then, like the Mets, because those are the two teams you hear the most about and throwing the most money out there. So, it's wild that they don't even, the Mets didn't even make it. Right. But I was actually, honestly, from the outside, least surprised at the Dodgers going up 2-0 because I kind of feel like this is one of those, they want the Dodgers in the World Series. Not that there's been any shadiness or any weirdness, but it just feels like, hey, this is what they're built for. This is what they get the team together for. The Dodgers are going to the World Series. So On the other end, I'm rooting for Seattle, because I co-host a show with a guy who's a Seattle. No, not throwing any names out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they could potentially sweep. I don't think they do. I do think they still win it here, though. It's probably more of that gentleman's sweep. I think they can win it in 5, just because Toronto really hasn't looked very good. So, the first game was a great game. The second game, they beat them up. So,
10-3.
Yeah. No, it was
Cal's got to get MVP now, by the way. I know it doesn't matter about your postseason, but come on, man. If Seattle's in the World Series, like I know, other sports, the votes are already in. So I assume they're already in, but come on, guys.
Yeah, because what they announced it the week of World Series, if I remember right. So, but yeah, the voting supposedly is done. So,
I mean, that's how it is in
we'll have to
sport.
see. Yeah. I know that postseason play isn't supposed to matter, but the voting happens during the postseason, so that some of those things creep in there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, when you look at the teams and this is why the Brewers were the number 1 seed, is they are not dependent on home runs. They manufacture runs. They actually play old school baseball where they get people on base, they move them along, they get them to score. Teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees, like they are so dependent on the long ball that when they aren't hitting,
that's it for them.
You lose the game, right? It's kind of like when you're watching basketball and a team is set up to only hit threes. Well, when the 3 isn't dropping, what happens? Well, they get blown out. And that's generally the kind of thing that you get with the home run teams, because if they just aren't dialed in on the pitching, they're no good at just manufacturing runs. Having guys be patient and get on base and then steal a bag. And I mean, you see, generally on those home run teams, you see an incredible number of strikeouts because they're just swinging for the fences all the time, hoping they get the contact. And, it's unfortunate.
Yep. Which, by the way, I was rooting for Toronto to knock out the Yankees. So that's always,
yes,
that was always very, and if you're Toronto, how do you feel? You get past the Yankees, right? You get to here and you drop the first 2 games at home.
Well, and they didn't just sneak by the Yankees. They destroyed the Yankees.
Yeah, it was a 3-1 in the series, right? Yankees thinking they're going to get back in this one and close the door on them. Well, so no.
Well, and the first 2 games, they scored like 24 runs.
20 runs, yeah.
I mean, it was insane. Like,
you're watching those scores come by, like, so no pitching? Like, is it just
just batting practice? They're just see if you can hit this. Like,
yeah. That was amazing. So I was there for it.
Well, and I mean, it was funny because going into the playoffs, we ended up getting the exact path I wanted. I was like, okay, we want Detroit because, they backed into the playoffs. And I was like, we really want Toronto because we play them well. And for whatever reason, we do not play the Yankees well. The Yankees beat us up every time. They've knocked us out of the playoffs, a couple of the times that we'd been there before. So, yeah, just kind of, I don't know, kind of weird to see it come together the way I wanted it to.
All right.
I think that was the.
Does that make us pinky in the brain?
Yes.
I mean, you gotta like it when it comes together like that. Yeah, I have a friend who's a Detroit fan, and so I've been getting all the texts. The Lions don't look good this week, and then the Tigers are about to have one of the biggest collapses in history to fall out. So yeah, I've had to kind of follow all that. So hey, like I said, happy for Seattle, man. Especially be kind of erase some ghosts from the past. I remember one of their best seasons ever. The Yankees knocked them out of the playoffs. That shows you how old I am, and way back in the day. So
twice,
yes. See,
so this is our 3rd trip to the ALCS, or 4th trip, and 2 of the times we got bumped out was from the Yankees. So
wow, yeah. So if you can't beat them, avoid them.
Hey, that's the way I look at it. They always say to be the best, you got to beat the best. I I don't think the Yankees were the best. They just happened to be our kryptonite. And
Right,
so
right.
if we can just not deal with them, I'm not mad at it. And then you're going against a Toronto team that absolutely beat the brakes off them. So it's not like the Yankees would be like, oh, well, we would have won. It's like, well, you got to win the series you were in. So you had your chance to see the Mariners.
Yeah. That's on you. If you had brought some pitchers to the park, maybe that would have happened. So
right. So yeah, I mean, now you're looking at basically a Dodgers Mariners World Series potentially, unless both these teams really fall off. 2-0 leads are most of the time you win.
Right. Does that mean the whole East Coast doesn't watch the World Series?
We did have a little bit of a debate about that on our Coast to Coast show, which is coming up next. Pags was saying, oh yeah, this is going to be the worst viewed if it ended up being the Brewers and Mariners. And I think it would have just been a lot of intrigue because the Brewers have never won and the Mariners have never been. So I think fans would be really interested. I think this will still get watched with the Dodgers being in there. There's going to be a whole lot of Mariners fans because they're going to be like, hey, anybody but the Dodgers.
Yes. Yeah. And I think I'll be in that boat. Like there's a casual in me. I'm like, I don't want the team that's just throwing all the money out there. I mean, that's the reason why we don't like the Yankees, right? For the most. And then when Boston started doing it, it was kind of the same. So, I will absolutely be rooting for the Mariners in this one. And like I said, rooting for the Mariners and rooting against the Dodgers. So
yes,
you get it twofold. So.
That being said, that does get us to the top of the hour. We do appreciate you watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our stuff to you. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Take it easy, everybody.